Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for an amateur no copyright techno video sequence. Play it. So yeah guys, welcome back to Ant Holleufer. I hope you like my little video sequence thing. I just thought it was quite funny. I had so much material of the ants eating and I didn't just want to waste it. So in my last video of the Myrmica Rubra colony, there was somebody who told me that I should clean the feeding dish. I did that doing this recording session of this video. So in the beginning of the video it is not clean, but at the end it is clean, and I have remembered it and I have kept it clean since then. But else, welcome back to Ant Holleufer, welcome back to the Myrmica Rubra colony. So in my last video I talked a bit about these dead ants that the other ants keep carrying around. So some of you mentioned that I should give the Formicarium some earthworms, and I said, well, I already had done that. Except that was actually in this video and I actually hadn't done that at the time. So, you know, here's the time lapse of me adding in earthworms. So I started by watering the Formicarium, and that was if there was any ants walking around, they should hopefully get a little bit scared and walk home so they wouldn't attack the earthworms. And then I just added in the earthworms. And after I had added in all of the earthworms, I once again started to water it, and this time it was to make the ground a little bit more soft, so it was easier for the earthworms to dig down, and again to scare them away. So as you can see, there are now earthworms pretty much all over the place, and some of the ants are very curious to see what these earthworms are. But they're curious, but not really seeming them as a threat or as food, so that's a good thing. So the earthworms hopefully have a good chance of surviving this. So pretty much all of the earthworms just came immediately down into the earth, except for this one here. And the ants were, I think they were biting it, and I was pretty sure that this earthworm would die. But just in the last second they got home and all of the earthworms survived. So what you're watching now is another experiment that I have tested. So a guy called Ant Holleufer, he said that if you add in a test tube and fill it up with all of the dead ant bodies, they should maybe start thinking this as a graveyard and starting to dump their dead inside of this test tube. But I put in 15 dead workers, and after around a week all of the workers had been taken out of this test tube. and this experiment failed, sadly. So once again, the ants were just carrying around the dead workers, and in my last video a few people actually suggested that I should put in some snails, because snails will try to eat the dead plants, so that's kind of to keep the plant life down a little bit, and also they might eat some dead workers, and the earthworm should help with this, so it should start to be a whole ecosystem now. So it was just to add in the snails. So the first snail I'm adding in right here I have dubbed Sunshine, or actually my girlfriend did, and I tried to pick 3 different colors. So as you can see, she's struggling she, I don't know. I don't really know anything about snails, so Sunshine is struggling a bit with walking around. And the 2 other snails, they just didn't want to go away from each other. So this right here is Master Shifu, the black snail, and the other one is AJ, and for some reason these were very happy to stay right next to each other, and I actually thought that they might try to eat each other or bite each other, but luckily after a few minutes all 3 snails were going 3 different ways. So very quickly Sunshine decided to go over to this one plant here, and though the ants seemed interested in, I want to say her, but I don't know if the snails have a gender, but the ants were interested in the snails. As you see here is Master Shifu walking very slowly, so we're just gonna speed that up a little bit. Or is it called walking? I don't even know. But the ants are interested in seeing what this new thing is, but they don't seem to attack it, so that's good. A few minutes later, Master Shifu actually had 3 or 4 workers just walking around checking out what this thing was. But as far as I could see, the ants were just exploring this new thing and not attacking it, so that's very good. As you can see, there's some ants crawling on top of the shell and some other ants on the bottom shells. There were just ants all over the place, and I was actually very scared that they would kill Master Shifu, but it didn't seem like they were gonna do that. And lastly we have AJ, who was over at the plant where the ants were actually living in. I was very scared for him since this is where all the ants are living and their main nest entrance and exit is. But let's just forget about the snails and check on them again in a few days. The ants are still loving their protein jelly. They're not really eating it fast, but when I have a protein jelly inside, they are always very interested in it. For some reason it keeps getting a little bit moldy after a few days. Again, I think it's because of the high humidity, but when it gets moldy I just take it out and a few days later input a new one. So I feed the colony around every day or every other day with different insects. I give them mealworms if I can't find any insects around my house, but else they're just so amazing to feed on and eat on everything I give them. I haven't given a single thing that they haven't liked yet. And here when I feed the ants, they're almost starting to make a little ant highway. So while I recorded the ant highway that was starting to form, an alate suddenly popped out of the nest. Don't really know what he was doing, but he just kind of wandered around checking out what all the hype was about. But as you can see here, this is what I used to call an ant highway. Not really, but it's the beginning of an ant highway. And it's so amazing to see how the ants feed on these insects. I mean, normally they just very quickly take them out and over to the nest and just into the nest or something. I don't really know where they disappear. They just come over to the plant and then get sucked into the plant. So there's the nest entrance pretty big in there. I don't know how big, but they're taking pretty much anything in there except for the butterfly I gave them in the time lapse. That thing was clearly too big. But if we just skip ahead a few days and take a look at the snails once again. Here we have AJ and he's alive. If we just speed it up, he's not moving a bit. These snails, I mean, they're pretty fast sometimes, but all in all, they're just very slow. And right here we have Sunshine, also climbing the outside of the formicarium. Luckily, she didn't decide to go outside yet. This is a she, okay, just deal with it. But what is she doing with her mouth? I've never seen a snail from the side before, and this is just so weird to watch. No words, just plain weirdness. And lastly, Master Shifu, he's just been hiding somewhere in the plants on the left side of the formicarium. But all three snails have survived. I think all earthworms have survived, and it's just going very great for the formicarium. And the ants are just thriving. They are eating everything I give them, and they just keep being hungry. So this right here is how much all of the plants have grown inside of the formicarium, and yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to record. But this right here are the plants, and as you can see, they have really grown a lot, but you don't really realize it before you see the original video. I mean, look how big the plane is comparison to the plants, and just how small everything looks. If we compare it to today once again, it's just such a big difference. The plane is almost being covered up now. So yeah, again, not really much to update. The ants seems very happy. Hopefully these snails will try to keep down the plants a little bit, and the earthworms will hopefully help a little bit with the dead ant bodies that keeps being carried around the formicarium. But I don't really have much to say. This colony is doing so great. It's a good colony. I mean, I don't really have anything to comment. It's just going good for the Myrmica Rubra colony. So yeah, that's been it for this video. I'm still just so happy with this colony. It's just been so it's so amazing to watch it. I don't even know what to say. I mean, just right now there's 20 workers just wandering about. I also noticed the other day that there were, I don't know, 15 to maybe 30 new isopods just walking around after I watered the ground. So there's really much wildlife. So all three snails have survived so far. Master Shifu is still only on the backside of the formicarium, where AJ and Sunshine is still on the front side. And instead of calling this the front side and the back side, I'm wondering if we should do kind of a little name thing to kind of name the different part of the formicarium. And if you have watched so far in the video, please leave a comment down below what you think, if we should do a naming session in the next episode or something like that. But yeah, let's end it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for all the new subscribers that have arrived here on the channel. I hope you're enjoying the content as much as I'm enjoying making the content. And I hope I'll see you in another video. Bye!